Hello out there in Training Tuesday land, and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Heidi Reese, and I am the Training Programs Manager. And all of us here at Dayton Superior hope that you are enjoying these Training Tuesdays that are conducted every, you guessed it, Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern. I also want to start out today by saying if there is a topic that you would like to hear or see, please go ahead and put it into the chat functionality through Zoom, or question and answer even if you want. Or you can send Chuck and myself an email at training@daytonsuperior.com. I would love to hear your thoughts so we can get some topics out there for you that you care about. So before we all get started today, just want to go through a couple of things, just housekeeping rules. As always, you guys that have joined muted. But like I said, you can talk and interact with me through the chat functionality in Zoom. If you have any questions, you can do that through the question and answer functionality. And at the very end, we'll have a question and answer session for you. In addition, we record every one of these and we put them out on our YouTube Dayton Superior channel, as well as DaytonSuperior.com's website. There's a brand new spanking website, well, I guess a web page out there for Training Tuesday. Just search that. You'll get two links, one to sign up, and the other is to see all of our past. I think, what, Chuck, we have about 95 of them out there. Yeah, and we've done much more than that, but there's 95 good ones and you can check it out. Today, we've got a really good one too, but first we're going to talk about, you guessed it, this presentation is intended for training purposes only. So anything that we're going to talk about as far as products or product concepts or applications, I want you to go out to DaytonSuperior.com to get any of the technical specifications. There's not a lot of products mentioned today. It's more application, which is great, but just keep it in mind. If we do reference it, go out to DaytonSuperior.com. You can find technical specifications as well as safety data sheets out there. So keep that in mind. So who the heck is Dayton Superior? Well, we are the leading provider of engineered solutions for the concrete construction industry. So what does that mean? Well, just what it says. We provide it. We provide accessories, chemicals, forming, but not only that, we have the largest engineering firm and we provide you with training to back it all up so that you can learn how to utilize our products. Any challenges that you may have as far as technical, we've got a support group out there for you. We really are a one-stop shop for you. We have chemical solutions that are specifically formulated to meet your design specifications that you may need, whether it be for new construction or retrofit repair. We've also got Simon's forming and shoring if that's what you need. And of course, tons of accessories. So with that, I'm going to keep it short today and I'm going to introduce you. Oh, just kidding. I'm going to tell you about the solutions for the projects first. So we have accessories. Here's all of our product lines. We've got Dayton, Aztec, taper lock, sleeve lock, bar lock, DBDI. That's for the rebar splicing. In addition, we have AccuBrace for tilt works and slab works to provide you with the engineering that you need, whether it be through a subscription or for you to contact our engineers and help out. We've got the Cody Clip rebar connecting system. For Simon's, we've got the Simon's MaxForm, STS, and all of these different forming systems, as well as the shoring systems. And then for chemicals, we have Dayton Superior and Unitex brand in liquids, powders, epoxies, and repair and restoration. Now I want to introduce you to the person that's sitting here beside me, Miss Holly Jurgens. So today's topic is on the Type 1L cement, and she's here to teach us this week. She is the Director of Engineering for the Chemical Division. She is a key figure here at Dayton Superior for over a decade now. That makes you sound old and you're not.
Hello.
Yeah, maybe I shouldn't say it that way. Sorry. So for a decade, she's been hanging with me at Dayton Superior. She's dipped her toes in research and development, as well as manufacturing, and now is shining as our Director of Product Engineering for the chemical line. As a chemical engineer, she's one of the brains behind our innovative products line. She knows the ins and outs of them. She's, like I said, researched and developed a lot of it. And she knows how to perform and get the job done for the chemicals. Her MBA helps her balance that business savvy side with her technical expertise, and she'll get you those answers of any complex questions that you may have. So maybe I shouldn't say that because we have a question and answer session. So get them ready.
I'll know someone who does.
That's right. And that's the key takeaway here. We have a lot of experts and we know how to get the answer that you need. Oh, and I forgot to mention, she's also got a Six Sigma green belt and serves on several NetPep committees. I always love saying NetPep. So without further ado, Holly, take it away.
All right, hi there. I apologize. I'm getting my voice back, so I'm a little croaky. But today we're going to do a brief introduction to Type 1L cement, also known as Portland Limestone Cement, or PLC. There's a lot of buzz in the industry right now about this raw material and how it's affecting crews and job sites across the country. So we're going to go through an extremely brief definition of what it is, why we have it, and then we're going to get into field observations and some solutions to common problems seen in the field. All right, so what is PLC or Type 1L? It is under a category referred to as blended hydraulic cements. So we will discuss those a little bit more here in a bit, but PLC specifically is a blend that has a higher content of limestone, and it's specified through ASTM C595. So the types of cements we're used to working with in the past, such as Type 1-2 or Type 3, are actually classified as just Portland cement and are specified under ASTM C150. So not only do we have a different category for PLC, but a whole different specification as well. As I mentioned, PLC is considered a blended cement, and it's not the only blended cement out there. So regular Portland cement, as specified under ASTM C150, can have up to 5% of the clinker replaced with an SCM or a supplementary cementitious material that's going to exhibit those cementitious properties. Once we get past that 5% and into a range of up to 15%, we're looking at what's called blended cements. So this can include Type 1L if you're using limestone, Type 1S if you're using slag, Type 1P if you're using pozzolan, or Type 1T, which is actually a ternary blend of all of those together. So they're going to be defined by the clinker replacement, and that typical replacement range, at least for PLC, is anywhere from 5 to 15. Generally, you're going to see 8 to 15%. So in that figure, you can see that that gypsum in the middle, the blue, is the same size. You're replacing that gray clinker with some more of that green limestone. One of the biggest questions everyone is asking is why? Why are we being forced, quote unquote, to use Type 1L?
Why, Holly?
So the main reason is how much better it is for the environment. So by replacing Type 1-2 with Type 1L, we can generally reduce that carbon footprint of our concrete production by about 10%. So by using PLC, we're lowering the carbon dioxide emissions anywhere from 8 to 12, so that 10 is that average, per ton of cement produced, which over time can actually really greatly impact our global warming potential. Another reason for using Type 1L is that it's already globally used and accepted. It was adopted in Germany as early as 1965, and it's since spread across Europe and Canada. As you can see on the graphic, the entire US has accepted the use of Type 1L as of February 2024. This graph has slowly transitioned to all green as of this year. But just because the country has accepted it doesn't mean it's been an easy transition. So there have been various surveys conducted by multiple outfits on how users feel about Portland limestone cement and how it's affecting or not affecting their work. So why are we seeing that some crews are facing issues and others aren't? First and foremost, not all PLC is created equally, which is a little scary. But as mentioned previously, the limestone content can vary anywhere from 5 to 15%. The fineness of it can also differ based on how that manufacturer is going to grind that limestone down. And some mixtures actually contain admixtures or varying types of aggregate. All of that can change what you're seeing out in the field. Some manufacturers are also a little bit more experienced. So if you've got a decorative crew, they're used to working with a variety of different batches. They're going to get anywhere from, working with lots of SCMs, changes in batches, anything like that. So if you have a change from batch to batch, or you're just changing to Type 1L in general, these decorative crews that they're used to using those different admixtures and aggregates are going to have less struggle when they're adjusting on the job. Lastly, curing really does matter. So it's extremely crucial to follow proper curing guidelines. Over time, we get comfortable in our jobs. We realize when certain things might be slipping that we need to tighten up on. So when working with PLC, it's important that the crews tighten up their curing techniques and closely follow the guidelines set by ACI for proper curing. So now we've discussed why some are facing issues and others aren't. I'm going to touch quickly on what some of those issues actually are. So the first one, less bleed water. This is one of the most common complaints coming from the field when using type 1L. The problem that this creates is that when there's less bleed water during the finishing process, cracks or tears can occur if finishing happens too slowly or too late. So the timing we're used to on a regular Portland cement job is going to change when we're working with Portland limestone cement. Next is that low early strength gain. This one tends to go both ways. Some see it and some don't. That low early strength gain can affect timing for form removal, can affect your post-tensioning work, and also when you're placing your saw cut joints. Again, coming back to timing, the timing of a PLC job is going to look different than that of a type 1-2 cement. Then we have that variable limestone level, like I said before, anything from 5 to 15%. If that number isn't communicated or if it ranges on the same job site, it can cause confusion and poor consistency, especially when it comes to finishing and timing. So type 1L has brought its fair share of challenges, right? But it's nothing that as an industry we can't face, overcome, or even succeed at with the right mindset and tools. If you've seen Ted Lasso, then you'll recognize the sentiment behind this quote. We've got taking on a challenge is a lot like riding a horse, isn't it? If you're comfortable while you're doing it, you're probably doing it wrong. We're going to be uncomfortable for a while as we learn to navigate utilizing type 1L, but it's not necessarily a bad thing to be uncomfortable because that's where we see growth as an industry. And if you haven't watched Ted Lasso yet, I highly recommend it.
So do I. Sorry I didn't have a football from the club.
All right, so we've established PLC can be a challenge for some, right? But there are options to combat the common issues we've discussed. So if you're experiencing less bleed water, for example, then you'll know that the timing of your curing and finishing processes will become more important. You have to be willing to adjust. You can utilize products that are engineered to help you, such as evaporation retarders and finishing aids, which we'll actually discuss here more in a minute. If you're having low early strength gain, this can sometimes be fixed by simply tightening up your curing procedures, following those proper guidelines that ACI has set in place. Another option is utilize SCM, so those supplementary cementitious materials. Don't be afraid of them. One SCM in particular that can help with an increase in early strengthening is actually silica fume. Lastly, if you think you're getting variable limestone levels in your batches and no two batches are acting the same, you're seeing some really funky things on your job site, then try upping your communication with the cement supplier to ensure you know what mixes you're working with. There are consistent suppliers out there. Don't be hesitant to look. Maybe there's someone else out there that you can get better, more consistent batches from. This also varies regionally. So different suppliers across the country are coming back with different mixes. So we're seeing a lot of variation across the country as a whole. All right. So it's possible by now, you guys are probably sick of hearing about, these magic chemicals meant to solve all your type 1L problems. Dayton talks about it. Lots of people in the industry talking about it. Well, I can't guarantee that they're magical, even though I think chemistry is magical, or that they'll solve all your problems. They can't hurt to try them. So we're going to talk a little bit about them today and how they can help. So the first product that you can try to help maintain your bleed water is an evaporation retarder. So you're starting out your job, you've got your concrete slab poured, and as everything's setting up, your bleed water is coming up to the surface. After your screening process is complete, you're actually going to spray down your evaporation retarder. It's going to be available in both a concentrate and ready to use. One of ours is yellow, hence the probably really difficult to see yellow on the screen. The product's going to contain a long chain chemical, and that's designed to form a water-insoluble waxy film. So that long chain means that it's forming that film without any space in between. That film is going to trap the bleed water on the surface, as you can see in the little picture. It's going to lock in that moisture, and it's going to allow the time that you need to finish your slab before going back to finish it. So if you're working with a huge slab, the weather conditions are pretty rough, and you're looking to just try to keep as much bleed water as possible, which we know might be a little bit less with type 1L, you spray this evaporation retarder down as you're going through your slab. And as you come to finishing the end of your slab, you can go back, and by the time you're ready to actually start going through the finishing process, that film has kept that moisture in there. So make sure that you're not working this into the surface. It's really important that you just spray it and you leave it to do its job. Because the product does contain water, whether you're using ready to use or you're mixing the concentrate with water, if you work this into the surface, it's going to add water to your mix. That's going to change your water to cement ratio. That's going to give you a whole different slew of problems. We're already very sensitive with what our water cement ratio is with type 1L, so simply spray it on and leave it to do its job. Easy peasy. Another option we have is to use a finishing aid during the floating and troweling step. So as I mentioned, the evaporation retarder is after the screening process. Finishing aid is during floating and troweling. Most finishing aids do contain colloidal silica, which is going to aid in that cement hydration. So same as before, you have your concrete slab. It's going to contain water and calcium hydroxide. So you're going to spray that colloidal silica finishing aid on the surface of your concrete. This is where it starts to get a little bit different. After you spray that on, you're going to take our lovely trowel, and this time you will work the product into the surface to ensure the silica is mixing into the water and the calcium hydroxide in the slab. So you see as that trowel went across and you're mixing it into the surface, that silica is getting down into there. And what it's going to do after some fun chemistry is it's going to create the calcium silica hydrate. So after that silica is shot into the slab, it reacts with the calcium hydroxide in what's called a pozzolanic reaction to form that CSH. So the CSH actually reduces your pore size and increases your strength. So if you remember when we talked about lowerly strength gain, in one of the SCMs that you can use to help with that is silica fume. So it's similar here where this colloidal silica is going to help fill in those pores by reacting and forming that calcium silica hydrate. It's going to increase that strength. It can be great, but don't overuse your silica. The finishing aid is also going to slow the evaporation. So you can see it's kind of like trapping that water in a little bit. It's not going to form a film, but it will slow it a little bit and therefore increase that pasty cream on the surface that allows for a nice smooth finish. So as you're working through your slab and you're seeing some tears and cracks as you're troweling over, you might want to consider adding finishing aid to keep that pasty cream up there to allow that process to happen without those tears. So to finish up, we're going to do a little bit of comparison. So the evaporation retarder utilizes what's called acetyl alcohol to get that water insoluble film. So when it's sprayed on the surface of your slab after that screening process, it's locking in the moisture, trapping the bleed water, and extending the time you have to finish your slab overall. Then you have your colloidal silica finishing aid that gets troweled into your surface of your slab during the smoother, like the finishing troweling process to create more of that CSH for a smoother finish and less cracking. So as a note, you can use both products on the job because they're used at different points in the process. So in this case, you would, after your screening, you put down your evaporation retarder. Then when you go through to do your floating and troweling, you can use that finishing aid to create that paste, make it a smoother finishing process, and end up with less cracking. So together, they're kind of like a little powerhouse duo of chemical products that will be able to help you on these type 1L jobs. There's lots of other ways that you can get better performance out of type 1L, whether, like I said, it's using SCMs We're tightening up on some of your processes that we might have gotten a little lax with over the years as we get super comfortable with type 1, 2, or type 3. But there's lots of different options. And we'll be having some more information eventually about just chemicals and type 1L in general. So how is type 1L reacting with different chemicals, whether it's bond breakers, curing agents? How does it look as we've mixed it into all of our powder products? So we have incorporated type 1L into all of our repair mortars and grouts. It's something that's definitely taking over the industry. But like I said, it's a good challenge and it's how we grow as an industry. So on top of that, we also have plenty of other resources that Heidi's going to go through for you.
It's my turn.
Your turn.
Holly, great job. I love the animations that you did. That really helped me. So yeah, the resources, I already mentioned a lot on datesuperior.com. We have product pages and system and landing pages. You see one right here where it is both of those. It's the landing page for chemicals in general, and then the product page for the J24. I can't really read that.
74.
Yeah, I was like, it's not right. That's not our product. It's not our competitors. But the point here is that if you need something, you can get it on datesuperior.com. Just search for the product. We have guide documents. In this case, we have a guide to evaporation retardants that you can see what that means, what would be the best one for your project. Handbooks, the chemical handbook, technical and safety data sheets to show you how to use the product safely and effectively and correctly. In addition, we have done third-party testing and we have certificate of compliances. Mass Certified Green is one. And if you need specification assistance, there's a form out there. Just search on specification and you can fill that out. It's very short, as you see, and it'll go to the right person and they'll get in touch with you to figure out a chemical specification. And it's okay if you want some specification assistance even on our competitor products. We'll help you with that. American Concrete Institute website. I wanted to include this as a resource. It's not on datesuperior.com, but Holly mentioned some of that information. Obviously, American Concrete Institute is what we should abide by, right? So they have a really good, I went out there and kind of just checked for myself and research and try to get a little more knowledgeable while Holly was doing this, and do it yourself. There's results here for type 1L cement, and you can find documents as well as other articles to.
Yeah, there's also a website specifically for PLC. I think it's like greenercement.com.
Yes, I did see that.
So there's lots of resources out there. A lot of companies, including us, are doing extra research to see how type 1L is affecting certain things. So we will be coming out with a finishing aid product here in a few weeks called Superior Finishing Aid.
Oh,
so
exciting.
keep an eye out for that. And like I said, we're doing both internal and third-party testing to kind of qualify and answer some of the questions, as well as provide solutions for the problems people are seeing in the field. So we all love to, talk about our problems and complain, but we're also here to provide the support and the solutions that you guys are looking for, so you no longer have those issues.
Fantastic. Great segue to who to contact. Well, who the heck? Who do I need to contact? You've got technical service representatives for the chemical side there. You've got customer service as well as your Dayton Superior sales organization, your reps. If you need to find out who they are, just click on that on datesuperior.com and you can search by map and it can tell you who is in your state. Then you can contact them through email or call them. Additional resources. So all the chemical people are here on this pretty page. And I put Mr. Chuck, but not myself. I'm just going to say I'm over to the right and I've hit myself. But the point here, I know, funny, huh?
It's not fair that you don't know that.
Yeah, too bad. Your additional resources is you've got a, like I said, dedicated tech service line. So in addition to the technical service team, we've got the tech service line that will assist you with any questions you may have, field support, real-time problem solving. And we also can provide you with custom training. I love these training Tuesdays because they get you to be interested in the topic, to learn a little bit, but it's really only like a half an hour, not even that by the time you hear me talk. So I want you to know that you can get a custom training. Click on that QR code there and you can get that started and we can do further in depth for anything. that you might want. So just let me know, or you can send an email to Chuck and myself at training@datesuperior.com, and we'll get you with the chemical team. And here's another plug. You can review the past Training Tuesdays or request a training class. QR code, same as again. And are there any questions, guys and gals on the phone? Ooh, we do. All right, can you please elaborate how to address low strength gain concerns using SEMs? Specifically around what are the preferred SEMs over the others to resolve this issue?
Right, so Dayton Superior doesn't work too much with SCM simply because we're not the cement or concrete manufacturer. But we have started looking into, like I said, what those solutions are. So as I mentioned, one of the best SCMs you can use for strength is that silica fume. There is a fine line though. So if you're having issues and you want to talk to your cement or concrete supplier about what the options are, maybe talk to them about some of these SCMs, such as silica fume, to see if they can start incorporating that into the mix and see what kind of strength changes you're getting early on in the process. Again, the timing of these jobs is going to look a little different. We're used to the same timing for so long that, early strength gain, that quote unquote early part might look a little different now that you've got type 1L instead of type 1-2. But silica is one of those great products that, it gets down in there, it mixes with the actual products within the concrete itself, and it's going to give you that, fill in those pores and give you that increased strength that you're looking for. There is, like I said, a fine line. You can use too much silica and you start going past that and getting more and more brittle. So, and we're kind of messing with your tensile strength. So, working with your supplier to come up with a mix that works well for you to see what you need. And maybe get their thoughts on if they're seeing any luck with any other SCMs besides silica fume. I know, like I said, a lot of people out there are doing a lot of research right now to try to figure out how to solve some of these problems, and that one's just what's coming out in the lead right now.
Awesome. Any other questions? Okay, while you're typing questions, I just want to let you guys know that we're going to do something a little different. I'm not sending emails out on Tuesdays anymore to not bombard you so much. But here's the deal. Those of you who came, if you want to see this presentation again and hear it, it's going to be out there about 4 p.m. When I started the presentation, I said just search on Training Tuesday, and you can do that. Search there, and the first one that'll pop up on that web page will be today's. So we update a web page that has the latest 4. And if you keep on scrolling, then you can get it by product line. But just want to let you know, it'll be out there about 4, and you can get it that way. Any other questions?
We need more stringent measures on top of these. I haven't heard the need for any more stringent measures. I would just make sure that you're following ACI and ASTM specifications as closely as possible. Like I said, we all tend to get comfortable in what we're doing. And if you've been doing it with a lot of people in the industry for 20 plus years, like, this is the way I've always done it. It might not hurt to just kind of take a look back and say, am I still doing everything I'm supposed to be doing? From what we've read and all of the feedback from the field, if people are following the procedures the way they should be, they're having less issues. So they noticed that, they were kind of missing a step here or there in curing, or they were a little bit more lax on what they were doing. As soon as they tightened those up, they weren't seeing as many issues. So I don't heard the need to go above and beyond. Just make sure that you kind of touch back with those specifications and the guidelines to make sure what you're doing is up to par.
Fantastic. All right. Any other questions out there? I love that you guys are asking. Maybe Holly doesn't.
I love to hear I love listening to my croaky voice right now.
Any implications to using the cement in architectural exposed concrete? Is there a discoloration?
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know that I would call it an implication, but in architectural exposed concrete, we haven't seen, so if you're talking about exposed from like using a surface retarder, for example, we're not seeing any issues necessarily with that besides timing. Again, you have to make sure that you're using proper timing on the job site. Also, we have products like our Topcast EX200, the wash off extender, that's going to be a great resource working with type 1L. So it's going to extend that wash off time if you are afraid of that at all. You can definitely use that to help. If you're thinking about architectural just from, this is going to be seen by somebody. I know that a lot of people using architectural like the lighter colors, and type 1L, we are seeing it as a little bit lighter. It's not drastic, but it is slightly lighter. So in a way, if you like the lighter look of a lighter concrete for architectural purposes, it's going to be great for you. Otherwise, it's something to keep an eye out for if that's a concern for you. Again, if it's actually like surface exposed and you're getting down to that exposed aggregate, we do have things like the EX200 to help with that process. But other than timing, we're not seeing a coloration issue at all. So
Fantastic. All right, Holly, it's 1:30. So everyone, I want to thank you so much for joining. Thank you, Holly, for presenting. And like I said, this presentation will be out on our YouTube channels. You can get to it on DaytonSuperior.com. Just search Training Tuesday. And all of you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. Bye now.